Hello, Peter Baker, CEO of the Baker Trust. Something interesting happened to me. As you're probably unaware, this is an update. I signed off because I actually started a job. Got no support from A4E, or should I say very little or inadequate support. But basically I've done a rapid reclaim, I'm back on benefits, and I'm back to the same old problem with A4E and the job search evidence. Now, if you've kept up with my recordings, you could say, A4E stated that, or should I say, Kerry stated that it's part of my job seekers agreement that I am obliged to provide evidence to them, and they clearly stated that I was naive to think that I don't have to provide it to them. Not long afterwards, I made a phone call to the job centre to speak to the job centre manager, initially to challenge the word of one of their advisors over a sanction that was supposedly going to be imposed on me, which never was. And I've received a phone call from A4E today because I requested that the next meeting with them to be recorded by audio, because they were baffled by the fact that I got advice from the job centre manager that I wasn't obliged to provide job search evidence to them. So they've arranged an appointment with the job centre, and they are basically, or in a nutshell, going to ambush me on the next time I sign on. So I'll be pulled aside into an office, and I will have both Kerrys, my advisor, and the team leader from A4E, plus a team leader from the job centre and the job centre manager. One of them is named Barbara. And I would like a little advice, but for a matter of interest, it seems as though I've put all parties of fraud into one room accidentally. Now, I have two recordings, one of the A4E advisors stating some fraud, and another of the job centre plus manager saying it was okay for me not to provide job search evidence to A4E. Now, obviously both can't be right, can it? So obviously one side is committing fraud and would result in significant loss. Now, in the phone call that they made to me, which I did record and I can upload if you request it, they stated that I could bring representation. Now, because this is basically fraud, and I haven't even brought up the subject of fraud to any of them, having all the parties of fraud in one room, I wasn't allowed to bring in a representative. I thought, why not bring in a sergeant? Because they stated I couldn't record the conversation. I couldn't bring in a camera, couldn't bring in audio, so I figured I want this on public record. So if I bring in a sergeant, I play my evidence in front of the sergeant, and I state that the outcome of the meeting will determine who is charged with fraud. Is it A4E's two advisors, or is it the Job Centre Plus's one manager? Either way, I'd probably request a crime number so that I could make a civil claim afterwards. Now, I haven't used any of the Freeman references. This is all legislation, acts and statutes, which is useful because I'm playing by their rules, their books, and hopefully I'll get some decent results. But fraud is still fraud. It's a criminal offence, and it would be funny seeing one of the three people or two of the three people being carted away to the police station down the road. So I will play the evidence I've got, which is from previous clips. You'll find the catch-22 once you listen to them both, and I hope you enjoy. Peter Baker out.
Yes, that you have signed a job seekers agreement, which will probably state that you need to look for around 40 hours worth of work and supply us with evidence.
I know, but I'm only required to supply it to the job centre.
They have mandated you here, Peter. I know you're an intelligent man, so
They've mandated me to participate.
You're that naive to think that you don't have to supply it to us. You have signed a job seekers agreement.
I'm not that naive either to know that I've waived my rights to privacy.
So
You can't pick and choose, Pete, can you? You can't have your right to privacy and also one of the principles of your job seekers allowance. The two don't go hand in hand, unfortunately. It's a government payment. So by by accepting that and signing every 2 weeks that you want to accept that payment and your housing benefit payment and anything else that you get, you're accepting that your right to privacy is not as wholesome or as fulsome as it would be should you not be claiming that benefit, because you are asking this government to provide you with a means to live by.
It says, I must show I have been actively seeking work every week, every time I attend the job centre.
Yes.
And as for the work programme provider, what they're asking for, it's a request, you see. And I can actually deny that request under my rights to privacy. So there can't actually be any consequences.
In terms of your job search evidence, yes, you need to provide that to ourselves. If you don't want to share that with the work programme provider, then that is okay. But what you have to do is participate in what it is that they are offering to you, because that is mandatory.
That's the thing. I actually keep trying to participate. I do want to participate.
Yeah, the issue I think is that if they are, for example, trying to identify what might be a barrier or a gap in you getting a job, without you then saying to them what it is that you've done so far to get work, it's very difficult for them to confirm that is an actual gap and that is an actual barrier. If you're not sharing with them what your experience of job search has been up to now, they can't really confirm or verify that what it is that they want to put in place is actually needed.